Hey there, folks, and welcome back to 155 mile per hour Cup Tryouts. In this tryouts, I am doing the Honda Beat 1991, a K car with the racing potential. So here's the parts you can do to this cute little inline 3-cylinder motor. Which, yeah, I'm just gonna say advance. This is probably gonna be the slowest K racer car. Period. But yeah, well, I didn't apply sarcasm when I say potential K racer. Because this thing is kind of slow, even though it hits like 125 horsepower, but that torque, oh my god, that torque, 68.7 per foot per pound torque. That is not really that great for the Honda Beat in terms of stats. Even though this thing is high, high cubic centimeters at the end of the day with 689 instead of 660, most K cars are affiliated with at the end of the day, or like 330. It's really weird when it comes to K cars and stuff. But yeah, that's basically the parts you can do to it, and you can do an engine swap to the Honda Beat, which is the Honda K20 C1 Civic motor, which I wanted to do so bad, but sadly that motor is just too fast for this car to do. So I hope that motor ends up in the other K cars as well, but it is what it is. So now checking the rims here for the stocks, you can just apply wides to offsets. You can also, if you slap customs, you can shrink it an inch further, and also widen it all together, and that such. And then for custom parts, you can add a lip to it, big old racer lip, well, racer sides, and a spoiler. As such. But yeah, I will say the decal here, as much as I think I did enough to it, I still think I should probably do more to it. So for those that want this decal, if I hear something in the comments who wants it, I'll do it. But otherwise, I'm not going to upload this one, unlike the other one. Because I feel like I could probably do more to this at the end of it. I just don't know what yet. I just feel like this is just not really good enough compared to the NSX one. Even though it's very similar to the NSX one. I just slapped a Mugen instead of what was it, Team? It was like Team something, but I did NSX on the side for the newer NSX's case. And stuff. But here's the license plate, which yeah, you could add a big old wide one in the front, while a long rectangle looking one in the back. As thing goes, or not long, but tall rectangle. And brake discs, of course, you can change the colors of those, as always. Yeah, that's basically about it in terms of customization you can do to it. But yeah, I forgot about the hood parts. Oh yeah, I need to show this too. Tow hook and roll cage and such. It's just not bad. Not bad overall in terms of customization. I think it's pretty fine where it sits at when it comes to the Honda Beat on that part. But now on to the tune stuff. Which, yeah, for tuning, I had to raise the suspension for sure. I had to raise it up to 110, while the frequency, I don't know if I tweaked this or not, but if I did, I think it's a lot higher than usual. So I think it's supposed to be 1.60, so 1.80. But that is to help against the problem about some K cars for being so small, is that their suspension travel is very limited. So as a result, you're going to have to increase the height just a bit to overcome any ramps or any dips and stuff that could affect the car dearly at the end of the day. And for K cars, it affects them very dearly on that. Because yeah, they are not as open aired as a buggy at the end of the day. They are limited as, I would say, a go-kart. I would say on that portion. But yeah, for spoiler work though, I did mostly up to the high side because I want to try to squeeze as much speed as I can get out of the Honda Beat at the end of the day. And as you can see on the time there, hitting a minute 12.888. Let's see if it actually hits that, shall we? So going at the Iger Nordman here, the Honda Beat 1991 as a race car for the Cup tryouts, I'm gonna say this is probably ain't it, Captain, because this is probably kind of like one of the worst K cars in terms of race performance. I gotta say, because this is surprisingly very slow in terms of the acceleration department. It really doesn't hit the factors I feel like it needs to hit at the end of the day when it comes to speeding potential and that such. So at the end of the day, the Honda Beat just hits a pace where I don't think, to me, is acceptable enough, and that's quite of an issue. Because yeah, like I said, I tried to get that K20 engine to work because as you can see, I have a go-kart chasing after me. Usually, I leave that go-kart behind at some points on these corners. No, this go-kart's gonna be chasing me throughout the whole race. It would be really bad if I had to switch out the go-kart with another Honda Beat or something just to be faster at the end of the day. But yeah, the Honda Beat is that slow though. A go-kart could probably easily beat this at the end of the day at Argon Northland. And that is pretty sad, I'm not gonna lie. For a sports car, this thing is very slow. So if someone were to say compare this to Mazda Miata, you're wrong. I'm sorry, you're just wrong on that. Because I think this motor needs more acceleration, and this motor cannot give out that acceleration at the end of the day. It's just so lagging. It's a very slow motor at the end of the day, and not a very good motor. Well, I would recommend more of a Accelerant motor than this, because this motor is just so bad. For a Honda Beat motor, this is not the motor I would choose at the end of the day, because the best way to sum this up, it's as slow as a Toyota Prius at the end of the day. If you've seen how fast a Toyota Prius, this ain't any much better as the thing goes. This is pretty bad, like really bad overall. And that's the fundamental problems about the Honda Beat in general. On that part. If anything that's good, of course, is the turning factor, but I mean, it's a K car. It's supposed to have some good turn at least, for God's sakes. But yeah, it just overall, the Honda Beat 1991 is not really that great on the most part. So, heck, if it was possible to have the Integra motor, I would take the Integra motor immediately, which is the B18C. If this had the Honda Integra motor, this thing would be really freaking good. I'm not gonna lie. If it had the ability to have the Integra motor, oh my god. Then you have a Miata competitor. I'll just say that. Because the Integra motor hits about 180, which I'm just gonna say, that is usually a perfect horsepower when it comes to sports car motors if they're that low, but they have a reasonably high tuning potential to hit 600. You have the perfect potential of a sports car right there. At the end of the day, I believe. So yeah, if this had the Integra motor, this would be so much better. But sadly, you're just stuck with the little puny bike motor that is the Honda Beat. Which, I say bike motor loosely because I don't think this is a bike motor. As much as it being the Honda. I don't know what bike would have an inline 3 motor at the end of the day, but for this car, it's kind of just a mistake. To me. I will say the S660, if you must know, which is in the future here, is a lot better compared to Honda Beat, but that says so much on that department because at the end of the day, because of the very speed streamlined Air to Max that this car offers, I'm not gonna be able to really utilize so much of the acceleration as a result because of the fact of the what's the best way to say it. Its top speed is just crazy batshit high at the end of the day. Because yeah, this thing can hit like sports speed of 186, but the problem is it has no acceleration to back that up at the end of the day. So it's just not really great on that department. As much as I want to accept. But yeah, just for the decal though, I thought of basically just do the NSX GT1 remix again and then add some little differences, like add the Castrol line instead of the regular white line I think it's known for, and that such. Which I gotta say, I really like it. For the line at least, but for like the other, like the sides and stuff, I just didn't think it was good enough yet. But yeah, if anyone ever wants this again, But for the best lap, we did 112.821. Which, I'm not gonna lie, that's probably gonna be the best out of the laps out here. This is where it gets bad. So here's the stats overall, what I think about the Honda Beat. Which, yeah, speed 2 out of 10, when hitting just 131 miles per hour on the Tokyo Straight, while hitting 103 miles per hour on the acceleration side of Eiger Norman Climb. So yeah, not really good in that department. The turning, I want to still say 7 at the end of the day, even though I do have a big issue with the steering, the handling sometimes. But on the burn side, this car was gonna last forever. Like it not only acts like a Toyota Prius, it is like a Toyota Prius too, in a K car form. At the end of the day, it's really weird. It's really weird to say at the end of the day of that such. But yeah, hitting like a freaking, I want to say a fourth of, yeah, I want to say like two-thirds of burn fuel, or no, I would say technically 3/4 of burn fuel left, because this car will last forever on that department, while only like an 1/8 of tire burn. So this car is very generous on the tires at the end of it. So yeah, I don't technically blame people for driving this car at the end of the day. I just, you know, it makes me wonder if this car has sludge problems, because how chillaxed this car is on that department. But then again, you might have to suppress the throttle all the time though, then again, so I don't know, on that department and such. But if there's like a big issue I have with this, is it's very unpredictable handling. This car is very hard to judge when it comes to turning in and out with this car, because there's a case you think you had the room to travel to turn into turn, but there's cases where it just feels like you're not going to be able to turn in. So, like example, as you see there, I tried to needle that just right, but I turned more than I should. Or there's cases where I'm turning, it doesn't feel like I want to turn. So it's like very unpredictable on the handling concern. But otherwise, I don't think this is a bad car. I just think of it's okay, because I do like the Honda Beat design-wise. I just don't think it's also a great design though on that department. I think it's kind of just an off design, and the S660 fixed a lot of concerns that the Beat had overall and such. But yeah, otherwise still not a bad car on that part. It's just like, if I had to choose between the Prius and a Beat, I think I would choose the Prius a little bit. Hate to say on that judgment call. Even if this thing is tuned to the max with this, if it has this motor, it's not gonna be a great motor. But if it's something like again a Tegra motor, or something a bit more juiced up on the department, at least 100 horsepower in a high acceleration, then you got something going with this. But as of where it stands, it's not really a great little K car to me at the end of the day. It's like one of the most worst K cars you could drive, period, because the Cappuccino has acceleration. The AutoZam AZ1, while I haven't tried it, I think I know for sure that has at least better acceleration than this at the end of the day. Because the AZ1 was supposed to be the sequel to the Cappuccino at the end of the day, so I assume at least better than the Beat, but you know, I could be dead wrong on that department as the thing goes. But if I had to throw another great example that just immediately destroys the Honda Beat, the M1. Anyone know that little van? I know that little van. Easily one of the best vans. Alright, I say van, Lucy, technically it's a hatchback. But yeah, speaking of, I do hope like the in-van or the other, like the in-box, I think the one's straight up called. I do hope those end up showing in the future. Like heck, I hope the new electric car one called the Super N here shows up, because yeah, apparently that's supposed to have like a boost mode of 94 horsepower and stuff. Not too crazy, but in electric standards, that's actually pretty good. For the most part. Although I will admit it's in boost mode, so guess what happens to the fuel? As I guess. But yeah, I do think like more boxier variant K cars are just can be downright technically better than the sports car K car variants, because there's a case where you want that acceleration for sure. And I think the hatchback vans and stuff really deliver on that aspect, where these sports cars like this technically don't. I will say, if you lessen the aerodynamics though, and make it less streamlined, like what the Beat did here, it'd be so much better. But yeah, the best lap there, a minute 37. Yeah, I should probably talk about that a bit, because when it comes to the times, that is like easily one of the worst times, I'll just say. In like a minute 37, huh? So in terms of trying to beat something like the Cappuccino RX, the Cappuccino RX hits like a minute 34.172. So, yeah, 3 second gap on that best lap. Just, oof, that's bad. And then, I ignored one's not much better, but at least it was 2 seconds away for the most part. So, yeah, it's just really bad, because the Cappuccino RX on the Iger Norman hits like a minute 10.049, while they hit like a minute 12.881, I believe, or 871. So yeah, definitely not good in that department at all. And this is the 10th car I'm testing in terms of tryouts and stuff, so not good, Captain. And then for this, I'm just gonna say, if you expected any better, you might want to put your hopes down there for get doubted. As it goes. Cause yeah, especially as I mentioned the top speed on the Tokyo Straight here, it's hitting about only 130. That's really bad. I thought 140 was kind of not the greatest, but 130, like, good lord, that's slow. So yeah, the Honda Beat hits very bad on the stat-wise and stuff. At the end of the day, it's just not really good in that department, I must say. Which is not a great thing to hear at the end of the day. I hope the Honda Beat is at least a little bit better than that, but it really just kind of ain't happening. But I will say, this ain't like the worst candidate when it came to doing these testing. There was another car I tested too, but I decided to instead put that in a higher class, because remember that Mercedes 300 SL I probably mentioned that I was going to keep in this Cup tryouts? I decided to opt against that, because the Mercedes 300 SL is pretty bad as well, but I decided to put it in stores because at least that has the potential to go even higher, where the Honda Beat technically can't, in terms of the choices I want to choose for this, because the next tryouts we'll be doing is the historic tryouts, you see, and that's going to be with historic cars versus Trans Am racers in the future here, so get ready to see that and such. But that Honda Beat with the K motor does not fit the theme, so that's not going to be there yet, but it will be there in the future though. Which, yeah, I am very curious about that Honda K motor. I just haven't tried it in a higher stance yet. Because yeah, I wanted it to be in the Cup tryouts, but it just ain't gonna work unless I figure out a way to lower the top speed even further. But I have to figure out where to do that. So sorry. But if I do, you will be seeing it then. In that case. Matter of fact, you might be seeing it if I need a replacement for that Mercedes, which I need to figure out what to replace the Mercedes with at the end of the day. But yeah, oh yeah, and you're probably noticing something. Hey, I noticed you only did like one lap of Tokyo Expressway. Yeah, I decided to change the bigger tracks to at least one lap. We saying that, yeah, I was there, and I did the regular lap, and then now I'm showing you the best lap. Because how long this would take with the Honda Beat, I don't think people want to stick around and watch that, to be honest. I'm not gonna lie on that department. But yeah, the Honda Beat hitting best lap, let's see here, a minute 52.901. Okay, that's not bad. It's still 3 seconds away from the Cappuccino at least, but I figured that'd be a lot worse. But yeah, here's the stuff that you can do with the Honda B at the end of the day, which I'm just going to say you could probably technically take this to the special K Cup. You just have to put a lot of weight back into it though. And such. But yeah, otherwise you can do the Sunday Cups, of course. It's blaster those like no tomorrow. I'm looking for the Japanese, yeah, here's Japanese Clubman Cup 550. You can do that as the thing goes. Of such. Trying to figure out what else you can do here, because yeah, I am just stumped as no tomorrow about what you can do with this. You could technically do the race of turbo sports cars, but I don't think it'd be a great idea. The 600 World Tour, don't even try. So I'm not even gonna suggest that. Like I said, the lightweight. Oh, I said special K. Lightweight K Cup. I meant, not the cereal. As it goes. But yeah, the lightweight K Cup. You can probably technically do this, but you have to slap a lot of weight into it, and change the gearbox to manual and like other things to decrease it to even do that to begin with. That sucks. But yeah, on to the race here. We're going to Circuit de Santa Cruz at layout B, because that's one of the short layouts, and I didn't mind this one. Yeah, so yeah, we're basically racing against technically some supercars. I'm not gonna lie here. You have the GT4 Mark 1. You have the 4C, which, when I say supercar for that one, I mean like super sports. Technically, the 4C is technically super sport. Well, technically, like all these old supercars are more like super sports nowadays. They're really technically not the supercar potential nowadays and such. But for where they stand back then, though, they're incredible machines, like hands down. Especially how light they are, how much fuel they burn at the end of the day. They don't really burn that much. Although in this case they will. Because as the saying goes, if there's one great part about the Honda Beat, its endurance factors is pretty high on that part, at least. Because yeah, it's gonna last forever on the track. That's the one trade-off you can get. It just reminds me of the famous car, and a lot of people probably heard of this when they tuned into the 24 hours of Nürburgring and stuff of the endurance race. They will see a weird little sedan race car that will just appear every once in a while during the race, which is the Lagia d'Astasia, which is very funny car, I gotta say. Someone did. I love it for every moment of it, because it shows you that even the slowest cars can still make a popular stance on the demographic that was the fame that was 24 hours Nürburgring. Considering you had Max Verstappen in a GT3 Mercedes, so it's like, holy crap on that department. It shocks me from what I've seen there at the end of it. And then the funny wreck that so happened to happen to the Lagia Dacia too. Just wow, incredible stuff that people expand on in terms of creativity and what you could do and such and race stuff. Because I saw another case I'm not cool, but I do also kind of understand that whole handicap percentage thing, which was what was it exactly? The relay race that I cannot remember what the bad part is. I can't remember what the track was that was about. I need to go look it back up on YouTube and stuff real quick. The Burkett 6-hour race that I saw from Jake Sim Racing, so that's what I saw that from. It's like, wow, that was pretty cool, I'm not gonna lie. Because yeah, basically you pit like GT3s, regular GT4s, or just tuned cars and just pit against each other at the end of it. And basically the car has to go as much as it can till it gives, and once it gives, then you switch to it's either you give or 6 hours, and then you relay to another person to do the rest of the race. It's like a team of 4, I think. It's like team of 4 or team of 3. Yeah, team of 4, because then again I realized it's 24 hours technically. So yeah, it's a team of 4 doing 6 hours of race, and then they have to switch to the other driver that they have. The other driver drives a completely different car. So the car that was driven, they just driven there, and that car has to be mostly either the case lower or higher. So you could either drive the slower car first or drive the faster car right out the bat. So that's it. Yeah, it's a pretty cool setup, I gotta say. And stuff. Very interesting, ideal, I gotta say, in the future. Yeah, that's the one cool thing I did saw in terms of that. But yeah, other to say about this race, yeah, technically not much. I will say it's not much to really snub off of to even say, besides the GT40 giving chase to me at the end of the day, and the Coutage too. But at least I get to see that. I saw the Coutage versus GT40, which, yeah, it doesn't seem to be much of a competition. Although it's weird to say, because reminder, there's another GT40 here. So yeah, there's like two GT40s and then Coutage. The Coutage is sitting in between, and the Coutage is in third place as we speak. So yeah, it's just very interesting, that department. And of course, the last thing I want to talk about, because I keep forgetting to talk about this every now and then on Gran Turismo here, what cars could Gran Turismo could add in the future in terms of cars? Which I see one funny one here is the Honda Today G, because yeah, I did ask an AI for this, see if there's like any good examples and stuff. But yeah, Honda Today G is the classic one, which if you don't know, that's the hatchback that kind of looks similar to the Honda M1, but it's older, or much older. Matter of fact, if you've seen the Honda M1 with that weird racing scheme that they did for the one-make race, that racing scheme was applied to the Today G, just to say. It was applied to that, and it was applied to the City, too, matter of fact. So yeah, there's two of those. And then you got the Honda Inbox. Would be a pretty fun one to do in the future. Because yeah, that is the van one. So, or van wagon one they could do in the future. Which I hope they do that one too. And there is the legendary that is the Honda N360, which, to be honest, I thought that was a small Civic at the end of the day, or what may have birthed the Civic at the end of the day, because reminder, the N360 is a 1967 car. So, very, very shocking one. And then here's one I do like that they brought up too for the AI, is the Honda Life Step Van. The Honda Life Step Van 1972 was in the GT2 A-Spec mod, I believe. Because they showed that, and yeah, that's a very funny one they added, also. And then we had the Honda Z Turbo 1998, or the Z Act 1970. I don't know. Wait, yeah, what's the 1998 Z? Weird. Interesting. Yeah, Honda Z. I'm not sure what they're referring to there. That's a new one to me. I don't remember that one. But yeah, that's ones I could think of they could add. I'm trying to see if there's like anything else here that they might have chucked at me. Oh yeah, there's like the Honda Beat version Z, but I will say that's a spec version. I don't know if it'll be wise to add that or not. Or if that's enough to, you know, say different. But yeah, the Honda N360 was like a little small, like a smaller Civic at the end of the day. And you would think, oh, that's the Civic. Like somewhat yes and somewhat no, because the Honda N360 is like a K Civic, more like. So a very funny case. So yeah, that's the kind of K cars I could think of they could add in terms of Honda that I do hope to see in the future. There's probably a whole bunch of more, but I got to look harder than I ever can for that. Also, I do love this moment where the Cobra just speeding through the. Because yeah, I had to back up real quick. Like, hey, I didn't see that. Because yeah, the Chevy Cobra passed the GT40 at one point. It's like, oh, someone's brave. But yeah, overall, this race was just a clean finish at this point. I just get into the end. But the only challenge was kind of tech with the GT40, but he does suffer a bit of fuel burn at this point because it's a 9 times fuel burn reminder at 12 times tire burn and such. But yeah, that's overall for Second Crooks Way Up B. Overall fun track, but very deadly to these cars for some reason. But that basically wraps up for the Honda Beat 1991. I hope you enjoyed what you saw there. So tune in next time when I do the Hyundai Genesis Grade 4. So I'll tell them, folks. I'll see you guys all next time. You guys take care. Hope you like what you've seen, and tell them, folks. Take care.